Hello and welcome back to Catching Sunshine. This is episode 2, so we're on a roll now. Today's topic is connecting with your future self, doing things that your future self will thank you for. You can think of it as a little gift to the you of tomorrow, next year, or even decades down the road. The choices we make today are like little seeds that we plant, growing into the future one day that we will live. So when we take small steps now that make life easier, healthier, more joyful for our future selves, we're paving the way for a life we'll truly love. Woohoo! So let's dive into what it means to do something every day that your future self will thank you for, and how these small actions add up to create a life filled with possibility and with gratitude. Let's start by imagining your future self. Picture yourself in a few years, or you can go even further down the line if you want to. Picture that version of you as wiser, with all the life experience and lessons she's learned along the way. And now imagine her looking back at who you are today. How would she feel about the things you are doing now? Side note, my audience is mostly women, so I'm saying she. If you're a man listening to this, feel free to change that to he. So let's continue. When we connect with our future selves, it's easier to see how every little action that we take today can make a huge difference down the road. Every healthy meal, every morning we meditate, every time we choose to take care of our bodies or minds or hearts, we're laying a foundation that our future self will be so happy for. In fact, it's often those small, consistent actions that add up to the biggest transformations. And the beauty of this whole mindset is that it brings a sense of purpose and joy into our everyday decisions. We're not just doing things for the moment, we're creating a life that our future self can thrive in. And it's also really beneficial to our present self. So it's a win-win. As women, we often put everybody else's needs before our own. So sometimes we move our needs to the bottom of the list. But how about this? Think of your future self as one of those someones that you take good care of. In fact, I have a nickname I call my future self. I don't need to tell you, but you might want to get a nickname you call your future self too, because I want to take care of her and I want her set up so she's healthy and happy. And my present self likes doing that because I get the same benefits and she gets better benefits, hopefully. That's the goal anyway. I want to share with you what I call, of course, I always have to have a cool little name for everything, so I want to share with you what I call the Future Flourish Foundational Five. How's that? You like that? Future Flourish Foundational Five. That's a mouthful. These are the key areas where small actions today can create beautiful ripples into our tomorrow. So, number 1, let's talk about wellness. I mean, that's an obvious one. This is about nurturing your physical and mental health. Maybe your future self would love if you drank a bit more water, got a little more movement in your day, practiced better sleep habits. Each of these choices may seem small, but they make a huge difference in how you'll feel in the long run. I remember when I was young, I had a teacher, she was a neighbor of mine, and we thought she was so old at the time. I was about 12, so she seemed old. She was probably maybe 40. And she could do the splits. She could still do the splits on both legs. And I remember her, we'd always go, do the splits for us. And she'd loosen up a little bit, warm up, and then she'd just do the splits. And I'd say, how can you still do the splits? You're a grown-up. And I remember her saying, I just do them every night. Every night, a part of my nighttime routine, I make sure I stretch and I do the splits on both legs. And I've just always done that. So I've always been, my body has never stiffened up or tightened up yet because I've always done it. And I got the great idea to do that. I'm like, I am going to be like her and I'm going to do that every night. Well, can I do the splits now? No, I cannot, because I forgot about that little promise I made to myself, and I have to forgive my past self for that because I haven't been doing it. But That was just a little tiny thing, but doing that kept her flexible all of those years. And I don't even know if she's still alive anymore. I wonder if she's an old woman now still doing the splits every night. I don't know. But sometimes it's just little simple things like that. We all have things that we kind of wish we would have started earlier or wish we'd been keeping up on. That's one of mine. Not necessarily the splits, just being that flexible. Okay, let's move on, shall we? Number 2, the second pillar is learning and growth. So imagine how grateful your future self will be if you take a few minutes every day to read something inspiring or learn a new skill or work on a passion project. When we make time for growth now, we're creating a future where we are more capable and more confident and more knowledgeable. Even spending just 15 minutes a day learning something new adds up to, get this, nearly 100 hours of growth over a year. Not quite 100, but close to it. Isn't that cool? 15 minutes a day. Yeah. Okay, our third pillar in the Future Flourish Foundational Five is relationships. Taking time to nourish connections with the people we love is one of the greatest gifts we can give our future self. Maybe that looks like spending quality time with family or staying connected with friends, or even just sharing a genuine smile with a neighbor, some nice talk over the back fence. Just keeping those connections, those little moments create a tapestry of connection that our future selves will look back on with such warmth and gratitude. Number 4, this one's important, financial wellness. Money's not everything, but it is a tool that can give your future self more choices and more security and more freedom. Your future self will thank you for those small money smart choices today. So whether that's setting up an automatic savings account or learning about investing, or maybe just simply tracking your spending or having like a little money ritual. I usually do it on Mondays, Money Monday. I have my money notebook and I look at all my accounts and I see where I'm at. Just even that, I can thank my past self for doing that because my present self is really glad that she has done that for years. So even putting aside a tiny amount regularly can grow into something meaningful over time. Think of it as planting financial seeds that'll grow into this beautiful tree. I like to say a tree of possibilities for your future self. And finally, pillar number 5, foundational pillar, is spiritual growth. This one's about nurturing your connection to something larger than yourself, whether that's God or whatever that is for you spiritually, finding meaning in your daily life and growing in wisdom and understanding. And maybe that means taking time for meditation, taking time for prayer, getting to know God better, or just simply sitting quietly in nature and learning how to hear your inner voice. Your future self will thank you for creating spaces of peace and meaning in your life. And I know some days it might feel harder to think about your future self when we're tired or stressed. It's so tempting to focus just on getting through today. Like, oh, I don't normally eat that much sugar, but my present self has had a bad day today and this is going to feel better. Yeah, we can cut ourselves some slack and do that occasionally. But those kind of moments are actually the most important moments to pause and remember every choice is a gift we're giving to our tomorrow self. Even if you can only do something small, it still counts. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent and compassionate with yourself. Quick story. Last year, I met someone who started taking just 5 minutes each morning to stretch. She said her future self kept thanking her past self every time she noticed how much more energy and flexibility she had. And it wasn't a huge change, and it wasn't a huge thing, 5 to 10 minutes. But, those marginal gains, those small little things compound into hours of self-care over time. So here's some ideas. A great way to start building the habit of taking care of your future self is ask yourself a question every morning. It's a simple question. What's the one small thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? Or you could do that on a weekly basis, really. Just say, what am I going to do each day this week that my future self will thank me for? When we start out with this question, we're setting the intention to care for ourselves and our future in a way that feels really meaningful and fulfilling. And so here's another idea. Keep a future self journal. I know I talk about journaling a lot. So, if you're doing a gratitude journal, if you're writing down a few things, you might as well add this in while you do it. It just takes a minute. So every evening, take a couple minutes to jot down one thing you did that day for your future self, whether it was eating well, meditating, connecting with a loved one, or learning something new. Over time, you'll have a whole journal filled with little gifts that you've given yourself. Isn't that cool? And this habit can be a beautiful reminder of how we're always building our lives with small, consistent choices. I want to talk to you about one more thing that's super important. It's just as important as planning for your future self. And that is, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, showing kindness to your past self. Sometimes when we think about our past choices, we can be pretty hard on ourselves. We might think, oh, I should have known better, or why didn't I start doing that sooner? Here's the thing. Your past self was doing the absolute best she could with what she knew at the time. She was working with different information, different circumstances, different tools than you have today. So we got to cut her some slack and let it go. Just give her some grace. She was doing her best. Just like you're planting seeds now for your future self, your past self was navigating her own garden of possibilities and learning and growing along the way. And she did learn and grow. Look where you are today. Thanks to her resiliency and consistency, you're hopefully in a great place today and you're helping your future self. So I'm just going to continue with that goodness. So today, please extend some grace to that earlier version of you. Thank her for getting you this far. Thank her for surviving the tough times, for learning from mistakes, for keeping going even when things were hard. Every decision she made, even the ones that didn't work out as planned, led you to who you are today, ready to make wise choices for your future self. When we forgive our past selves, we make more space for growth and possibility in the present. We free up that energy that was tied up in regret and self-criticism, and we can redirect it towards those positive choices that we want to make for our future. So here's the challenge for this week. In addition to cutting some slack for your past self, here's the challenge. Every day, choose one small action from each of those 5 pillars that will make your life better for your future self. It doesn't have to be big. Remember, we're looking for small, consistent actions that add up over time. Just put them in your memory bank. What is one small thing you can do for your wellness? What's something you can do for your learning, your growth, for your relationships, for your financial health, and for your spiritual well-being? And I'll bet you can find things that cover all of those. You don't have to do 5 different things. A lot of them overlap. So I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for listening today. If this episode brought a little sunshine to your day, please hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. I'm so excited to keep sharing ideas with you that help bring more joy and intention into your life. So until next time, my friend, remember every small choice you make today is a gift to your future self. So make it count.